Okay, hello everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome to another TMDSAS live Q&A session. Um, today's office hours, we're going to go over keeping up with your application and what that means. We're going to go over how to keep up with your application, supporting document statuses, and processing times. Just because we have been getting a lot of questions about that, where to locate this information, and it's really easy to access this information and know ahead of time before messaging us or calling us to the TMDSAS support line. So without further ado, I'm going to make sure that I have all my tabs that I need and that I can locate the home page in just a second. And then again, we do have this session live if you want to reference it later on, just to watch the demo again. We do have this recording available on our YouTube channel, the Inside Health Education podcast. And you can ask any questions that you may have on our TMDSAS Facebook page or the Texas Health Education Service Facebook page as well. Alrighty, and so I'm going to be looking at two different screens, just so you know. I have one screen with the app and then the other one just for any questions that we might get during the session. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and I believe you should be able to see me. If not, just let us know in the comments in case you're having if you can't see me, if you have any questions, again, just comment on that. Alrighty, and so to start off with, we're going to go over how to sign in into your application portal. Should be fairly easy, but just in case, you want to make sure that everyone knows how to log in. All right, perfect. Sorry about that, guys. Just getting feedback. Everything is running smoothly so far. Alrighty, and so whenever we go to tmdsas.com, we're going to click on this button. It says sign in, and you're going to sign in as the applicant. Don't sign in with advisor or schools. That's not the proper portal for you guys, only the applicant portal. So once you log in, you should be able to type in your login information. It's typically the email address and password. And then you log in and it looks something like this. So this is the application portal. And this is the home page. And if you don't have an idea of what that is, it is right here. It says home page. You can just click on it and it takes you to this page. One thing that I want you guys to notice is where to locate the TMDSAS ID number. Many times we get people calling in and don't have an idea of what that is. It is located at the top right-hand corner of the application portal homepage. So it's important to write this number down, to memorize it if you can, among the many other things that you probably have to memorize. But just make sure that you know what this number is. It is helpful for us to know what that is whenever you call in and are asking specific questions about your application and you need us to reference it. Providing this number whenever you call or email, even if you send it in the message portal, can be very helpful so that we can quickly access your application and not waste time waiting on you to find it, to access it. So it's just better to have this written down somewhere where you can see it. Additionally, here on my account, whenever you click on that link, it's going to send you to information about your account. If at any point during the application cycle you need to change your email address, this is the place to do it. If you contact us and ask us to change it for you, unfortunately, we cannot do that. That has to be changed on your application portal account. And this is where you can change it at any time. Whenever you make that change, it's going to show up on your application and it'll be updated on there. And in any case, if it was transmitted to the schools, they will also have this information. A really important piece that's really important in this portal is to locate where to find your messaging system. A lot of times we reference the send a message to the TMDSAS internal messaging system, where this is where it's going to be located. Right here at the top right-hand corner, it says send a message to TMDSAS. If you've already received a couple of messages from us, you will see this in the unread messages, let you know how many you haven't seen. And this is very important because this is the best way to stay in touch with TMDSAS and for us to stay in touch with you. So this is where you can ask questions specific about your application, questions on how to enter information on the application, and especially how to add schools. Many times, if you only selected a few schools that you wanted to apply to initially and need to add more schools later on in the application cycle, at any point in time, you can always just message us and let us know what those schools are. That's going to be the best way to let us know that update for adding schools. We do ask that current applicants use this method of communication. It is preferred. Again, it is the quickest way to reference your application and to see anything that you would like for us to take a look at. And it is, like I said, it is the best way of communication with TMDSAS, but we do ask that you do not send in multiple inquiries in your messaging system and email and or call. Just make sure that you keep, you contact us initially through one communication channel, and the internal messaging system is the preferred method. Typically, turnaround times are 1 to 2 business days. So if you send us a message, for instance, Friday afternoon, TMDSAS still has until Tuesday afternoon to get back to you on any questions or anything that you need to adjust with us in the internal messaging system, and we'll get back to you. We do ask that you are patient. Calling us or sending us an email in regards to the same inquiry in the internal messaging system will not accelerate the process. We'll just ask you to keep an eye out for the 1 or 2 business day window, and we'll get back to you. We promise. And this, like I said, this is the best way that we, TMDSAS, can communicate with you with regards to anything about your application, whether it be any questions that we have or any issues that might occur with the application, questions about residency. If there's any questions for clarification on your residency situation, those will be addressed in the portal. So it's important that you keep an eye out for it. I believe you should be getting email notifications letting you know that you have messages in your inbox. At that point, go ahead and take a look at those because it can be important. And taking care of those in a timely manner will be to your benefit. So keep an eye out on that inbox. It is the best way to communicate, like I said, about questions about your application. It could be about residency. It could be letting you know that your application has been transmitted. To take a look at your PCR and anything else that you might want to ask in regards to those questions can be addressed by replying to that message. And like I said, this is the best way that we can communicate with you. So once your application has been transmitted, your applicant liaison will send you a message in the portal saying, congratulations, your application has been transmitted. These are the next steps to take a look at. One of those will be addressing the PCR. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know PCR is where you can find information about your prescribed coursework information. You can see if you have any deficiencies, making sure everything was coded correctly. And you can do that by clicking down below on this side on the application portal. It'll let you know the applications that you've created. And once you click on that, you should be able to click on that PCR. It's not showing up necessarily right now because I technically haven't submitted it. But if you've already submitted your application, you will clearly see that it says PCR, and you can hover over it and click on it to view that PCR PDF. If you can't see it upon doing that, that means that your pop-up blockers need to be turned off. Same thing with viewing your application. Any previous applications will be listed here on this table, and you should be able to see them again, just making sure that your pop-up blockers are off. The next thing I want to let you guys know will be to take a note in case your applicant liaison does send you any questions about residency or your coursework. Please reply to them by clicking on the reply button on that message that you see. That is the best way to get back to them. Again, don't send your inquiries in multiple channels like calling us and sending them a message. Just be patient. They are the best point of contact for those specific questions. Unfortunately, TMDSAS support the support line will not always be able to address those specific questions. We will probably only know as much as information as you will by seeing those messages and just going over what those are listing, what your documents need to be. If you have any questions specific about that, go ahead and just reply to your applicant liaison. So moving on to the next thing to pay attention to when you're in your application portal will be the status page. This is the best way to check the statuses of your letters of evaluation and your test scores. So before calling in, we always recommend that you double check this page. And whenever you click on it, it's going to give you the statuses of the section when you completed them, the schools that you applied to, your GPA here. Just know that whenever you submit your application, this information can change once your application has been processed. But this is where you can take a look at that. And then here's where you can check the status of your letters of evaluation. For this specific application, we selected the HP committee packet. And here is where you can see the date received. Right now it says not received. That means we have not received the HP committee packet. But if in the instance where TMDSAS would have received your application, your HP packet, then at that point there would be a date under that column, letting you know the date that it was received. That means we have it. It has been uploaded to your application. And if your application has already been transmitted, your schools already have this information. It was already sent out to them. This is where official transcripts would be located and the status of those. Don't worry about those just yet until later on in the cycle when schools let us know the applicants who have already been accepted. At that point, TMDSAS will reach out to those accepted applicants requesting those transcripts. At that point, if an applicant has already submitted them, they can check the status here. The most important part that I believe you really need to pay attention to is your test scores. These are really important. Not only is it one of the components that they review on the school's end, but it can cause a delay if they're not submitted in an adequate time. It could cause a delay in you possibly receiving an interview invite. So that is why it is really important that you check the status page before calling us or reaching out to us asking about your test scores. Check in here in the status page under test scores, and you will see all the MCAT test dates that you listed in your application. Under the date received, we have the not received date. That means we have not received the scores. If you see a date on there, that means that we already received your scores. They've already been uploaded to your application. And again, if your application was already transmitted to the schools, that means the schools already have this information on their end. Very important that you check this before reaching out to us. And if you have any questions about releasing your scores, you can do so by clicking on either one of these links and it'll let you know how to release those. All right, so let me just double check that we don't have any kind of questions or comments. All right. Okay, nothing so far, so we're going to move along. And if I'm going too fast, also just let me know. Or if you need me to go back to review something, let me know. All right, and so another thing to pay attention to would be the TMDSAS processing times. So what that means is just letting you know if you've already submitted your application and you're not sure where we're at in the application process, it does take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks for TMDSAS to process applications that were submitted. You can always go back to our TMDSAS.com homepage and you will find the TMDSAS application processing times down below. So right now we are on July 1st for reviewing applications that were submitted on that date. And just to let you guys know, these statuses are updated frequently, daily, every morning, so you know for sure that we're going to have this information up to date. And we also have the processing times for letters of evaluation, whether that be a direct upload or an interfolio. And as you can see, we are pretty quick on those turnaround times. So if you have any questions about your letters, double check this page, your status page, and your TMDSAS.com homepage to see when TMDSAS is currently processing those supporting documents and or applications. All right, and I think that was pretty much it. It was a pretty quick demo, but let me know if you guys have any questions. You can do this on the TMDSAS Facebook page, on the TXHES Facebook page as well, and just let us know if you have any questions. Now, do like a quick recap of what we just talked about. All right. And then just to let you guys know, we'll also go ahead and provide some updates during these office hours just to make sure everyone is aware of everything that is coming out, whether that be news about the application cycle, etc. We do have a few articles that are coming out in the Inside Health Education newsroom. And it'll give you, for this week, we do have a snapshot of the numbers as of August 1st, just letting you know where we're at in the cycle with applications that were being submitted, transmitted, and how many of the different types, whether that be medical, dental, or vet applicants that have been submitted to us so far. I'll go ahead and just provide a link to the Inside Health Education newsroom. Inside Health Education newsroom is a great place to look for anything that you may have questions about, whether it be any application tips, any news about our member institutions, what's going on with the pre-health community, and any updates or anything you need to know regarding the application cycle. All right, and so I'm going to share my screen one more time just to quickly recap over what we just went over, and I feel like I went a little bit quick, but I'll just go ahead and just do like a recap of what that looks like again. And I have a lot of tabs open. That's not good for my computer, but learn from me. Just have a few tabs open. Alrighty. So again, we're just going to go over this very quickly. And on the TMDSAS.com website is where you can sign in to log in into your application. You'll log in into the applicant application portal. Once you log in, you will come up to this homepage and you'll be able to see the information such as your TMDSAS ID number. If you need to edit your email address at any time during the cycle, clicking on My Account will be the way to do so. You can view any messages that were sent to you, and you can send messages to TMDSAS here by clicking on the Send a Message to TMDSAS, checking your inbox. This is the best form of communication, especially for current applicants who are working on their application, and especially if you've already if you've already submitted your application. This is definitely the best mode of communication with us. You can view your PCR and PDF of your application and any previous applications here on this table. Just make sure that whenever you do this and it looks like it didn't load or didn't go through, that means your pop-up blockers are on, so make sure those are off. The other important aspect in the portal would be to check your application status page. On this page, if you just scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see information such as your GPA, the status of your letters of evaluation. Again, if there's a date on here under the column date received, that means that we've already received your letters and or scores on that given day. It's been uploaded to your application. And if your application was already transmitted to the schools, that means that they already have this information on their end. When the time comes for transcripts, you can check the status on that. And the most important aspect here in the status page will be to check for the status of your test scores. Again, it's going to be here. If we have a date under that column, date received, that means that we have already received your scores. They've been uploaded on the application. And if your application has been transmitted, it'll be sent to the schools already at that point. And just to quickly point out a reason why we don't have your scores, if you've already made sure that you released them, you waited the 36 hours, and it still says not received on there. I would recommend that you double check to make sure that your date of birth, your test date, and your AAMC ID number and or DAT number are correct on both your application and the ADA website and AAMC, whichever one applies to you. That's just because those three components will make sure that the information from your score gets matched up to your application. If any one of those is inconsistent on either end, it's going to prevent that match from happening and for us to be able to upload that score onto your application. So one way to, again, double check the status of your score is to take a look at the status page here. Make sure that it says it has the date received. If not, double check that those components are correct on both ends, both your application and your account, your test account, exam account. And if not, then yes, proceed on to communicating with us as we can see if there's any other issues why we are not getting your score. So back to the home page, going back to our TMDSAS website, this is where you can find information about the processing times, letting you know what day we are on for submitting reviewing applications that were submitted on a given day. This day will be depending on how many applications we receive on that given day. So it might be like this for a few days. It might change the next day. Like, it just depends on how many applications we received. And you can also check the processing times that we have for letters of evaluation. Typically, they take anywhere between 7 to 10 business days. But lately, we've been pretty quick on having those quick turnarounds, and those can be located here. Okay, and that is pretty much it. Let's see if there's any questions on our Facebook pages. Okay, nothing so far. But again, this will be readily available for you guys to watch again on our Facebook pages and the YouTube channel and also the Inside Health Education Newsroom podcast. Just going to give it a few more minutes in case anyone has logged in. Pretty late like we did, but it's fine. Okay, nothing so far. So I'm hoping that that means everyone got it. Anyone who in the future watches this demo will quickly understand where to locate this information, check on the statuses of your application, supporting documents, and the processing times that TMDSAS is on for reviewing applications and processing the supporting documents. And so, just to let you guys know, we host these office hours weekly. These are catered to address any questions that you guys may have about the application or anything in general. Also, based on the types of questions that we receive throughout the week, whether that be through emails, messages, and/or calls, we gather this information to see where we might need to address anything. And again, one of the top questions that we got were how to know when these supporting documents had been processed, when we will finally get to reviewing your application. And this is just the best way to do so. Very easy as well to check beforehand before reaching out to us and asking questions about that. So for the next Team DSAS office hour, it will be at the same time, hopefully on time, next Monday, and it'll be relatively short. Again, just depending on any questions that anyone may have about their application. It's basically just an open forum. Just if anyone has any questions, they can just post them in the chat, whether on the Team DSAS Facebook page and/or Texas Health Education Service Facebook page as well. Um, and yeah, we'll just leave it open for anyone who has questions for next office hour, the next office hour next week. And yeah, we'll go ahead and just wrap it up now. Again, if you want to review this information or know anyone who may find this information helpful, you can just go back to our Facebook page and watch the Facebook Live for today's session. And it'll also be on our YouTube channels and the Inside Health Education podcast. So without further ado, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and a great week. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.